we're getting to a point where we should eliminate the tight end position in fantasy and just make it another flex. Tight end is awful this year, guys. After let's go through the list here. The top 10 tight ends, okay, include Cole Kmet, who's had one good game.
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely, who's had one good game. Hunter Henry, who's had one good game. Pat Freiermuth is in the top 9, and he hasn't done jack this year. Kyle Pitts is in the 8th, and he hasn't really done much this year. He almost had a big game last night. He just missed that touchdown on the 50-yard reception. But let's keep going, okay? Trey McBride's hurt. I don't know if he's playing next week. Sam Laporta's hurt. I don't know if he's playing next week. Laporta hadn't done anything anyways. I think McBride had a huge game last week, but Laporta hadn't done anything. And let's keep going down the line. Travis Kelce is your tight end 20 right now. He's averaging 5 points a game. He looks slow. He looks like a guy who's dating a superstar and is doing TV and too many podcasts. He's also in his mid-30s. The wheels are falling off of Travis Kelce. He is no longer a must start. Mark Andrews got targeted how many times yesterday? Like once? And Isaiah Likely played way more snaps and ran more routes than him. Suddenly, Mark Andrews has gone to hell. Like overnight, he's gone to hell in a handbasket. He's averaging 4 points a game. That's it.
Keep in mind they didn't have to throw against the Cowboys because they were up so much.
I get it, but still, I mean, what happened to the other two games? Right? When Isaiah Likely smoked him, and then the week before he didn't do anything. Dalton Kincaid, now he's playing tonight. Maybe we'll get something from him. Dalton Kincaid's averaging 4.7 points per game. David Njoku's been hurt. We obviously don't have TJ Hawkinson. This position is awful. And if this continues, and this was not like something that just happened in the first 3 games of this year, Lindsay, you remember last year?
Every year. Mm-hmm.
It's like, look at all the guys in the top 10 that nobody, Dermot Smythe, Jace Louise, Nick Vannett, holy crap. We got to eliminate tight end as a position in fantasy football and make it a flex. And that's it. Even if you want, it's a receiver flex. So it's a wide receiver or tight end or whatever it is.
In your league, no. You don't have to.
I know. And next year, that's what I'm going to do. Tight end's going bye-bye. If this continues, tight ends, we have nothing. There's no elite tight ends anymore. There's not even good tight ends.
Yeah.
There's not even good tight ends. Think of the top 5. Laporta, number 1, has not been good this year. Now he's hurt. Then it was Kelce. He's been garbage, and I could argue he was garbage at the end of last year in fantasy as well. Okay, now depending on which way you went, Mark Andrews was 3. I don't even know what to do with him anymore. And then McBride, okay, as long as he's healthy, I'm playing him. I think McBride's been the best guy out of all of them. I don't know what to do. I really don't. I'm doing start him and sit him, and I'm like, I don't even know who to tell people to play because it all goes sideways. I'm good. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I can't predict Nick Vannett's going to score a touchdown. It's insane. So I listen, Tyler Conklin, he had a good game last week. Everyone's going to go pick him up. He'll probably, S the bed this week against the Broncos. And that's what we're doing. So even though Mark Andrews stinks, what do you do, Lindsay? I mean, who do you replace him with? Even though Kelce stinks, who do you replace him with? Even Laporta's been stinking it up. Who do you replace him with? It's not like, at other positions where players emerge. Like all of a sudden, well, damn, you know what? I mean, this wide receiver, Michael Pittman Jr. has been bad. Well, okay. Well, there's other guys who are emerging that you could potentially start ahead of them. Now look at Wendell Robinson. Wendell Robinson is averaging 12 points a game. He's averaging the same number of points as Garrett Wilson, and no one talks about it. But at tight end, it's just not there.
So many ways to play fantasy football. Daily fantasy sports is another way. If your, redraft leagues are not doing so great and you want to get in on the action some other way, are you one of the over 5 million active members on Prize Picks, which is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, Michael Fabiano? It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is take 2 to 6 players, look at their stat projections, decide whether or not you think they're going to score more or less on any given. Maybe it's receptions, maybe it's yards, whatever it is. And then just watch the winnings roll in. Jen Piacenti joins us every Wednesday and Friday. She gives us a few different people whose numbers she likes. Maybe you could have taken her advice about Greg Dortch last week, which was his receiving number was around 29.5. If you had gone more, that would have hit. And so There you go. They're giving you one, Fabs. Just like a
I
free
know.
square.
Yeah, that's it. Caleb Williams passing yards. All he has to do is get one on Prize Picks, and that is every week in September. Just so you know, you guys know I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams in fantasy, but he did have 363 of those yards this
Oh,
past week.
that's
So
more than one.
they are giving you a little bit of a layup here over at Prize Picks because they want you to join the platform and they want you to win. So you get a winner right there with Caleb Williams right off the bat.
Okay, so that's one. If you get as few as 4 correct picks, you can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code FANTASYDIRT. You'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. That is code FANTASYDIRT on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. That is Prize Picks. Run your game. At tight end, let's discuss Kyle Pitts because it's worth discussing. Like, we want to talk about the guys and whatever we learn, like our takeaways, right? Like, there are people who have, like we said earlier with Zamir White, great matchup. If you can't get it done this week, then you probably can't get it done. And so there are certain weeks that tell you a lot more than other weeks. I'm not ready to, throw away Kyle Pitts, but this was another week like that for him. The tight end position had been one that had just torn up Kansas City defense. Like, tight ends had so much success against Kansas City to the point where they had almost as many targets through 2 weeks as wide receivers, which is crazy. They had more catches, 25 catches tight ends had in the first 2 weeks against Kansas City, to 17 catches for the wide receivers that had faced them. 276 receiving yards for the tight ends in those 2 weeks, 190 for the wide receivers. Like, think about just the math of how many wide receivers are on the field versus tight ends. And yes, the two teams that had faced Kansas City had gone too tight quite a bit. And so we'd seen more tight ends, but the Falcons didn't seem to care about any of that. So he had 5 targets, 2 catches, 59 yards. And one of those catches was a 50-yarder.
He almost scored. And so we're almost not talking about this, but almost is only good in what horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. And so 7 points later. But here's the thing, Lindsay. He's a top 8 tight end right now. He's top 8. He's got 11.65 and 7.9. He's a top 8.
But also, this was the matchup for him. This was it. Yes. Now, partially, I'm like, well, what are you doing, Falcons coaches? Like, why aren't we trying? I mean, I guess in their defense, they tried to go to him 5 times. They only completed 2 of those passes. So I don't know exactly. We'd have to go back and watch the tape and see like what broke down there. But I don't know. That felt like if we're going to have a Kyle Pitts game, if Kyle Pitts is ever going to turn into Kyle Pitts the way that we expected it, like, you would think that they would go, he's our priority. Game plan is Kyle Pitts, where we've got him moving around. We're doing all these different things. The Chiefs can't stop tight ends. Like, that's what the tape should have told them after the first 2 weeks. But he didn't seem to be prioritized. He didn't put up a big number. And I don't know what to do with him, which goes back to me not wanting to do anything with him ever.
You still have to play him. You do. He's got the Eagles coming up next. Atlanta coming up next against New Orleans. New Orleans just gave it up to Dallas Goedert. That's why I mixed it up with the Eagles. But like, you have to play him. Like, what else are you going to, unless you have Jake Ferguson, I don't know. Like, I don't know anybody who's got good tight ends. Like, 2, nobody, hell, most of us don't have 1 good tight end. So I don't know what to do. Yeah. Like who has Kyle Pitts and, Dalton Kincaid, or who has, and then he'd been lousy too. So we're just stuck. We're stuck between a rock and a hard place at tight end. I don't know what to tell you guys.